What happens when you purify your body, your mind, your spirit? Something miraculous. The body begins to heal itself. Welcome to the Medicine Girl podcast, where each week we explore new ways to heal your body from the root, igniting your inner healer. You are a medicine. And now, here's your host, Robin Stebbins.
Hello and welcome to the Medicine Girl podcast. It's me, your host, Robin Stebbins, and today I'm here with Benjamin Bernstein, who I can't wait to interview because I think we are so aligned on so many things. But he has a very cool bio that I'm going to just read for you. He's an Astro Shaman. So we're going to get into that. I'm excited to find out what that's about. He wrote the Amazon #1 best-selling book, Instant Divine Assistance, Your Complete Guide to Fast and Easy Spiritual Awakening, Healing, and More. He hosts 2 podcasts, Awaken, Heal, and Thrive, and the award-winning This Week in Astrology podcast. I have a lot of thoughts on astrology right now. Cool. He runs the Awakening Plus online membership, which helps its members awaken, heal, and thrive. 3-time Best Astrologer winner in Western North Carolina's premier reader survey. He's done over 10,000 astrology, shamanic readings, IFS and life coaching sessions with a global clientele. And he facilitates life-transforming healings, spiritual awakenings in his individual and group sessions, and has devoted himself to over 45 years of spiritual practice. His greatest joy is helping others with his free instant divine assistance invocations that we're going to talk more about too, which make spiritual waking healing, and it's fast and easy. His path is included. You're going to have to help me with that one. Vipassana.
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 I'll say it for you.
Vipassana. Buddhism, Peruvian shamanism, ayahuasca, San Pedro, plant spirit medicine, and the IDA invocations. So that is quite the bio. That's a lot of accomplishment in your short life so far. So tell me, I like to always say, okay, now introduce yourself to my audience, kind of what do you want people to know in this moment about you and kind of what you stand for?
Well, I'm 63, so I've been doing this stuff a long time and been on the spiritual path since I was 17. But I think probably if I had just one message I'm most excited about sharing, it is those IDA invocations. Again, the IDA stands for Instant Divine Assistance. I'll tell the story of how they came. Back in 2011, very first day of the year, I was in an ayahuasca ceremony, one of many I've done. And in the middle of the ceremony, the medicine drops into my head these simple invocations. And she says, you can use these with just a few words. You can call in your own awakening and it will come. But you can call in your own healing and it will come. And I said, man, this is amazing. So during the ceremony, I then did the invocation for embodied awakening, and it worked. I went right into an awakened state, clear and easy. And then when I was done, I thought, well, that was amazing. There was a lady sitting to my left who I knew. I said, hey, I just got this download. You want to try this invocation? I said, yeah, let's try it. And it worked for her too within a few seconds. There were 3 people sitting around the corner from us who overheard me talking to her. I said, what is that about? I said, well, why don't y'all try it? And I led all 3 of them went to awakening. So I said, okay, this is a good start. But then again, we're all under the influence of ayahuasca, so that's not a fair test. But then I started doing it with people who weren't under the influence of anything, and it started working for them. And by now, 12 years later and more, I've worked with thousands of people with these invocations. And for most people, they just work like a charm. And most people are just stunned. You mean I don't have to sit for hours and meditate and put in a bunch of effort? It's the exact opposite of that, because it actually delegates the healing and awakening to your higher self, which not only is happy to do it for you, it can do it way better than your ego ever could.
Yeah.
So it's had a whole life shift for me in the years since I've learned these, which is, wow, anything I can delegate to my higher self or my divine allies that they can do better than my ego can, I'm going to delegate that in a heartbeat and let them do it for me. And it just puts your spiritual trajectory on warp speed. I mean, you can very rapidly do things that you might have struggled for years to get to otherwise.
exactly why I like plant medicine. And I think we are perhaps programmed to believe that it has to be a struggle. It has to, awakening has to be hard. Spiritually, being in a spiritual state has to be a struggle. Because I think that's the program that we get, because then a lot of people just give up. Like, it's too hard. There's no way I could do what you guys do. And because it's not in alignment, when you're talking about going to that next level and talking to your higher self or your spiritual body, you can then connect in a clean way, like, which is why I like using plants. Plants know that when Benjamin does better, the plants do better. There's no ego around it. There's not like, look what I've done for Benjamin. And then it gets muddy, it gets a rather convoluted as to what the spiritual awakening is and what your path is. And I think people can get stuck and mired. So tell us then, let's talk more about these invocations and how people can do those.
Yeah. So I'll just give an example. And if there's time, we could take 5 or 10 minutes and actually do one right here on the podcast, and the audience could do it with us if they wanted to. Is that appropriate for the container we're in here?
I would absolutely love to do that. Yes.
Yeah, let's do it a little ways down the road after we talk, because I don't want to jump right into a process this early.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'll just tell how it works. So the embodied awakening invocation, the simplest way is with what I call the shortcut, and it's just 8 words long. And again, you're talking to your higher self. You're saying maximum embodied awakening that serves highest good, please. And let me put some definition. What is embodied awakening versus just awakening, right? So a lot of people might have an out-of-body awakening. They'll be all blissed out and floaty and feeling good, but then they come back into their body and it's the same old garbage all over again, right? So I don't think that's a very helpful awakening. I want an awakening that sticks and lasts and makes your actual life better, right? So embodied awakening means your higher self is coming into your physical body versus you going out to it, right? So you want your higher self in the body, integrated in. You want a hybrid human higher self thing going on. And there's a different you in there. It's you have to feel it to really understand it, but you get an upgrade of consciousness, and everything gets better. You're actually more functional. The 4 qualities I like to say are there when you're in embodied awakening that I experience anyway, and a lot of people confirm is, first, there's more harmony, flow, ease, and grace in your activities. Everything you're responsible for, you do more responsibly and more joyfully. Instead of having to figure things out mentally so much, your intuition is working better. So you just know stuff easier without having to think about it. And there's also this full body euphoria that comes in. There's just kind of a full body bliss. And the more deeply you awaken, the stronger the bliss gets. And again, all of it makes you more functional at absolutely everything you do. There's not a thing in your life that you don't do better and more pleasantly or more joyfully or euphorically in the state of embodied awakening. There is no downside that I'm aware of. So the benefits are profound. Also, once you actually get to it, even at just the baby first step, you can say the following will be true. There's no mental chatter. There's no challenging emotion. It's peaceful and it's effortless. That's the thing that people find hard to believe at first. I mean, once your higher self is there, the things I just described are the state of your higher self naturally. That's what it is. Okay. And if it's come down into you, then it's your driver and you are it. There's no difference anymore for all practical purposes. And so that's just your new normal. No mental chatter, no challenging emotion, peaceful, effortless. Now you can still think, you can still have emotions, but the difference is for most people, there's all these crazy thoughts jumping in all over the place. There's crazy emotions bouncing around. It's like you got a poorly tuned radio station with lots of crosstalk and static, right? But this is like a digital Dolby station fired in. That's the only thing you're hearing. It's super high fidelity. And that's the only thing you're hearing. So when you're in embodied awakening, the only thoughts that come are appropriate and helpful thoughts. The only emotions that arise are emotions that are actually appropriate to what you're actually doing. So it's you don't lose anything, but it's just sharper, it's clearer, it works better.
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I mean, you can keep going on that, but I'm really wanting to center too around how a lot of my audience is interested in plant medicine, but has never done plant medicine. So I work as a nurse and I have a lot of nurses and doctors and people that I work in, patients that really want to heal their body from the root, that are very leery of plant medicines. And we were programmed, I know I was, with a book, Go Ask Alice, in I think it was 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade, something like that. And I said to myself, there is no way I will ever do a psychedelic drug. This sounds horrible. You'll lose your mind. You'll end up like this girl that tried psychedelics ended up with greasy hair and licking statues in public and humiliating herself.
Right.
And that was the idea that we had. And it took me a long time to get past that. And then I went through my own, awakening with these different plants and having a key to a clean, non-convoluted state where you're talking about when you do these invocations. It's just, wow, I know what I need to do and I know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're talking to your higher self. Your higher self knows all these things.
Oh, yeah. Can I riff on that a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah. So just for context, I have done now nearly 300 plant spirit ceremonies, mostly ayahuasca. I've been down through 4 times doing like 2 to 4 week dietas. I actually do ayahuasca ceremonies every month for like a full, Friday, Saturday night kind of thing. So I'm very much into the ayahuasca. I've also had really powerful and helpful experience with San Pedro, also called Huachuma, the cactus. And that's very powerful and very healing for me. I spent several years doing only mushroom ceremonies, right? Very deep and intense. So I'm a big fan of the plant spirits and I continue working with them, but I also understand for whatever reason, there are some people who will never work with them, either because they're not willing or maybe they're on antidepressants and they can't. Okay, like you can't do ayahuasca and be on antidepressants at the same time. Okay, so there might be contraindications. What I say at the end of my book is that it's as if ayahuasca wanted to give these invocations to give people something like the plant spirit experience. Because, like I have a membership called Awakening Plus that you mentioned, and we do, 2 to 4 Zoom events a week where I'm guiding them in energetic processes. And a lot of people, as they report their experiences, say, wow, that's kind of like what would have happened if they drank ayahuasca. Okay. And I am now I couldn't separate myself from ayahuasca if I wanted to. I'm just blended with her so profoundly, I can't tell where I start and she begins, kind of thing, like with me and my higher self. So that energy is integral to what I do. And these invocations, since they came from ayahuasca, they carry some of her magic. Now, I'm not even beginning to suggest that you would get an ayahuasca great experience from my invocations. You wouldn't. A ceremony is far more powerful. But isn't it nice to have something you can do anytime, any place, anywhere as needed to get your awakening lined up, to get healing if you need it, and to at least get some potency going with those. So ayahuasca says it's as if people who will never work with me, here is at least as much of me as I can give them without actually going into a ceremony. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. But it's almost though, the plants will call you. I have been called by doing the plants. It was, researching all this stuff and maybe I should. And then all of a sudden, boom, I had to do it yesterday. And I found somebody that I knew and a couple of women had canceled. And so there was a spot open and I ended up meeting my lifelong best friend. We connected so many dots through that plant. But can you speak to the audience as to why anyone would want to do this type of experience? Because all they've heard about it is that you trip, you see things, you're out of control. Sometimes you throw up, sometimes you, all of the things that everyone's so scared to do in public.
Well, I'll tell you, like I had a family member ask me, you've done all these ceremonies, why do you keep doing it? When's enough? Right. So here's the way I look at it. I am sincerely devoted to the deepest healing and awakening I can achieve. And my experience with healing and awakening suggests to me there's no end to it. I don't care how awakened I am. There's almost certainly another awakening beyond that. I don't care how healed I am. There's probably something in there that either I can heal for me or maybe I can heal it for the collective or someone else. Okay.
And I want to put an exclamation point on that because when it all boils down to all of this, like when, family members have asked me similar things, it's like, why do you keep doing it? Because that lights me up. That is a connection that I have with my soul. I deeply want to know myself. I deeply want to understand myself. I want to stop ancestral patterns.
Right.
I came here to work. and I can't relax. And some people would say, oh, that's not good. You need to be able to sit on a beach with a drink and chill. It's not relaxation for me. This, to me, this engaging with you right now, this is my relaxation.
Oh, beautiful.
Doing these ceremonies is relaxation. Finding deeper levels of myself is relaxation. So what I want to put the exclamation point on is you're doing it because you really believe there's this continually deeper levels of healing. And I believe that too. There is no, we look to nature for our blueprint of how everything operates. There's nothing finite. There's no end. And if there is an end, it stagnates and it decays. And that's still a forward movement. That's still a something. So I just wanted to emphasize that and continue on as to why people would want to, you know, heal themselves. Why do you want to get to know yourself better?
Yeah. Well, actually, I didn't quite get to my punchline on the first question. So let me back up to that. So again, just to give a little background, you know, when I started my spiritual path, I say a little bit about this toward the end of my book. At first, I did 20 years in a meditation school. And, you know, and they had these very complicated things that by the end I was doing this 150 step inner world technique that took 2 hours. And I found that, man, if finding God is this complicated, it's not worth it. You know, it's got to be an easier way. Then I go to Vipassana, which is just sitting with your breath, which was better for me. Finally, my heart was opening and I was allowing myself to feel stuff. Okay. And that was very healing as far as it went. And then I discovered San Pedro and ayahuasca. And the difference is, I think the way I put it in the book is I went from the casual stroll of Vipassana to the warp 10 of ayahuasca, right? I mean, it's just so intense. It's so fast. And the reason I keep drinking ayahuasca, to get back to your original question, is I have not found anything anywhere that is better at rapidly healing and awakening me. Now, it can be very intense and very challenging. Like I say with people, if you are going to drink ayahuasca or work with San Pedro or something like that, you have to be willing to face the deepest, darkest, most difficult traumas you've ever faced for hours on end with no way out but through. You will get to that point if you do the plant spirit. So you have to have that willingness. If you are those willing, it can be the fastest healing and the most rapid awakening you'll ever experience. And I'm an Aquarian. I have Uranus on my ascendant astrologically. I like to go fast. And so I prefer the more intense path. I will sit there for hours of challenge and ceremony, because if that's what it takes to clear that next level of heavy energy to get me to my next awakening, I will pay that price happily.
Yeah, I'm similar. I'm a Capricorn, Aquarius, right on the cusp. I want it direct, honest, and fast.
Yeah, and practical.
And practical, yeah. That's, the 4 agreements. There's always like, do you want to do it one step at a time? And there's people like that. And, and I don't ever convince anyone to do the medicine, because there are absolutely people that should not do it. They're not ready, or it's not your thing. There's some people that really just want to keep their head down, go to work, retire, not brush the surface of anything. And that's okay too.
Yeah, I never proselytize any of this stuff, because there's enough people drawn to it already. The ceremonies I go to, they're always full. There's more than enough people lining up. So people, when they're ready, I believe on the soul level, some people come to have a particular human experience that doesn't involve a lot of healing or awakening. They're more just the head down kind of person, like you're talking about. And it's not my job to ruffle their feathers. I'm here to help those who are ready for the level I'm offering, just as you are drawing those to you in your podcast who are ready for what you're offering, right? So we got more than enough takers. We don't have to go hunting. We'll attract those who are ready, and that's the only people I say, who am I here for? And I focus on the people who are ready to receive whatever I'm here to offer, and I don't worry about the rest, because they're someone else's vision.
Yeah, exactly. And what in the next part though is, when you are there, you have the opportunity to face your dragons, as you said, or to face those deepest, darkest corners of your trauma. I have seen different groups, though, kind of foster staying in that place, staying in the wounded healer state, where it's during integration, you keep talking about the trauma, you keep talking about the wounded, dark places. And my thought is, when you're engaging with these plants, you have it's not just you now. You've entered into a relationship with this plant to bring out a higher level of awareness. So I've seen a lot of people, though, get stuck. They don't want to face, they're fine facing the deep, dark trauma, but not where they showed up poorly because of the trauma, and facing that part of themselves that perhaps wasn't the best version of themselves.
Oh, interesting.
That was underneath the trauma, functioning on that. But to be able to, I believe, proceed forward, you have to say, here's where I showed up poorly. Yes,
yeah, totally.
This was what happened to me, but here's where I then behaved in a manner that wasn't in alignment with my higher self or my soul's purpose. And I think that's where people get stuck. Have you seen that in your?
Well, maybe I've been fortunate, but like the group I'm currently working with, when we do our integration and sharing, people are really upfront about not only the initial trauma, but where they themselves, they can see how that's affected how they've behaved. Because I was traumatized, I then behaved in this dysfunctional or less than optimal manner. Yeah. And at least the people I work with, and maybe I'm just incredibly fortunate, but the group I'm with, we'll talk very openly and clearly about that stuff too.
That's where I have, as I have done, I'm not at 300, but maybe 150, 200 ceremonies.
That's plenty.
That's a lot. Yeah, but I didn't start till 2016. So
yeah, like 2006. So
yeah, I took to it like flies to buttermilk. It was like, oh, I see. It's like saying, if you're a yogi, you get to go to a yogi class with some of the best teachers on the planet and do it for, well, probably 12, sometimes 24 hours. That's the level of commitment. And it's not during, the experience itself. I'm always just on that precipice of, man, what are we facing now? Yeah. It's terrifying. And it's not like after 300 ceremonies, it's any less terrifying.
Well, it is actually, in my experience. Can I share with that a little bit?
Sure.
First, a sub note I wanted to put in there is, it's not enough just to do the ceremonies. Like the shaman I'm working with now, he says, okay, as we do our share, it's fine to tell a little bit about your experience. More importantly is, what's one little change you're going to make that you're going to put into your daily life that it was an insight from the ceremony. So he's very much on, you can't just do the ceremony and call it good. What insight or whatever have you gained that you can then take and make your life better with that insight. So to me, the ideal path is do ceremony, sometimes, but then in the in-between, you're working on, like, for example, my trajectory is ayahuasca will take me to the next awakening. And like lately, she's been putting me into 5D, and it feels like this super thick, energetic feel. It's just, I've had to adapt to it because it's so intense. And what I'm doing now is, how much of that can I bring into my daily life now? And how much can that become my new normal here as I just walk around every day? Yeah. So to me, it's breakthrough in the ceremony, integrate in the daily practice. Yeah.
And that can be, and that's kind of why I was asking you before we started recording, how are you dealing with this more 3D environment? Because we still have
better.
to
far better. Okay. So here's the deal. The more I awaken, whether it's through ayahuasca or anything else, the more there's a smaller percentage of me that I'm aware of just as the human part. Most of me now is not Benjamin. Yeah. Most of me is just divine being. Okay. So that's mostly me. And therefore, if Benjamin's having a problem, there's the rest of me that's in harmony, equilibrium, and flow no matter what, that can help out Benjamin. And because I'm conscious as that, I've got a lot more resources to bring to bear for any challenge Benjamin is experiencing. Can
you give us an example of that?
Oh gosh, that's so common. Yeah, for example, in the ceremonies I just did, I got a glimpse of a trauma I experienced as a child. I'm not going to name it specifically, but it was a total surprise. And most people would have been really, oh my God, that happened to me. That's just terrible. I can't, they would have been like freaked out and, really kind of gone into a tailspin from it. I saw, okay, but again, I also know that ayahuasca doesn't always show the literal truth. She can show things that didn't actually happen. So she speaks in metaphor sometimes. So let's say that did happen. I say, if that terrible thing really did happen to me as a child, then I can work with that. And I actually said, I'm actually kind of excited to go heal whatever's left of that didn't get healed tonight. And so you can approach anything that would like throw most people in a tailspin. And because you're in this unshakable center a lot more, you can calmly and efficiently approach whatever challenge comes up, whether it's an old trauma or whether it's some challenge arising in your current life. So it just makes it easier to deal with anything that comes up. You know, you're much more capable and much more solid in dealing with any challenge that might arise.
Right. And then I'm curious how your physical health is, because a lot of times I approach it doing the plants, doing ceremony to get rid of the emotional ancestral trauma, to awaken to more deeper levels of yourself. And then usually what I see is the body keeps up right along with it. It starts releasing physical trauma, physical manifestations of this trauma, which is illness, disease, and stuck chakras and all these things that I always look to who's done these ceremonies so often and has that level that you do. What's their life like?
Well, I'm 63 years old and I don't take any pharmaceuticals. And my health is very good. Now, to be fair, a couple of years ago, I started having evidence of cognitive decline and started going deep dive into that, discovered that can be reversed. If anyone wants to get into that, the work of Bredesen, MD, Bredesen, he has a book called The End of Alzheimer's and follow-up books that show you can actually reverse that. So I got serious about that because if I lose my mind, I got nothing, you know? And so I started shifting everything about my lifestyle to optimize that. And that had made a big difference. But yet there's been times when I've noticed a little bit of decline, little like memory blips, and then I would go into ceremony and I would come out like I would actually feel I felt I was going into my brain and like uncobwebbing it and clearing it out. So I've had more than one ceremony where I have felt ayahuasca go in there and clear my brain from any of the cognitive stuff that might have been a challenge. Now this stuff you got to stay on top of. I can't just say I'm done and clear. I'm not going to have any more cognitive challenge. As you can hear, I'm perfectly functional and I'm functioning at a high level, but it's something I have to stay mindful of. So I'd say overall, the reason I mentioned that is because ayahuasca is not a free pass that lets you say you can do anything else. You know, I have to mind, as a person in his 60s, I have to mind diet and health and exercise, and that has to become an integral part of lifestyle. But at the same time, ayahuasca has, I believe all the work I've done with her is one of the reasons I'm in my 60s and not taking pharmaceuticals,
Yeah, well, this is what my entire podcast is about. This is what I have devoted my life about, because I've been in healthcare 35 years, started in my 20s. I started in mental health, worked in lots of psychiatric hospitals, worked with patients that had schizophrenia, bipolar, major depressive disorder. And through the 35 years, I have found, and I will say this 100% from my heart, there is no good pharmaceutical. There is no good psychotropic. There is no good medical doctor diagnosing anyone with anything. They cast spells on you. So what you noticed was you had been participating in ingesting a toxin or a poison, or an emotional toxin or emotional poison, spiritual, whatever you want, that was leading to that, because that's not your normal state, Benjamin, or is it anyone else's. But the FDA has allowed at least 5,000 chemicals that we know of into our food supply, so that innocent, granola bar or that box of Kashi cereal is leading to your cognitive decline. But then we get into the medical system, and they're going to say, well, we're seeing some markers for Alzheimer's, and this is what you noticed. You lost your keys, or you couldn't remember that person's name. Fear. So then it can start to spiral into the medical system. And it's like, well, you need to take this drug. It's the latest one to prevent Alzheimer's, or you need to do these things.
Yeah. Now, fortunately, I was able to the path I found was to go to a functional medicine doctor who the last thing she ever wants to do is prescribe a pharmaceutical.
But
All
they
that she's got me
prescribe a
on,
lot of supplements.
all she has me on is herbs and supplements. Yeah.
But the supplements, and I will point out the pharmaceutical industry,
Hmm.
the reason the functional medicine people are still alive is because the pharmaceutical industry has bought all of the supplements. So they still have their net to catch all those customers. And I'm not saying your functional medicine doctor is part of the system. Most of them are. Most of them prescribe these supplements that are equally damaging because what they do, the pharmaceutical game, I see it clearly. The plants have shown me the whole game. I know it very clearly. And it's very frustrating because I see people taking things that harm them. For example, vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, that every functional medicine doctor says not only to take it, but to take mega doses of it is rat poison. It builds up in your system like arsenic. It damages your bones, creates bone density loss, osteoporosis. It creates heart arrhythmias because it's pulling calcium from the bones. This is just one example. So when I look at healing and where you are and being lit up and doing all this healing, it's like, well, then don't eat 3D food. Don't drink 3D water. Don't take from, even their functional medicine doctors, they're still indoctrinated to a certain extent into why is it they always want to give you something to put in your mouth and take. My mission is to tell people, stop the toxin, stop the poison, stop the emotional roots. There's always multiple roots to that place that you're in, that health place. The body will heal itself. The body will only heal itself. We can provide gentle ways to facilitate that healing, or more extreme ways like doing an ayahuasca ceremony that can lead you, like if you have, let's say, we use the example of you're noticing memory deficit. Well, all of a sudden we got to call it something, dementia, Alzheimer's. That's another way that it creates more of a disease state instead of just, I'm not in alignment with the way my memory is operating right now. Let me look at why. And so that's when we go on these journeys, and then you can go and do a ceremony and actually go inside your body. You can go inside your brain. You can go inside those neurons and say, where am I contributing to this?
Wow, fascinating.
And then I'm going to get off my soapbox in 1 second. The other thing you had mentioned, antidepressants. Some people can't do these ceremonies for because they're on antidepressants. Antidepressants do not work. And there is the evidence, even from the pharmaceutical industry, will tell you that. Any psychotropic that they have is found by accident. They don't promote it until they have the DSM, whatever it is now, 2,290 copies, but they don't give you a diagnosis like depression or ADHD until they have a drug that they can prescribe or a lab value. So if somebody's listening right now, and I know a lot of my patients are on antidepressants, and people that listen to this might be, instead of saying you can't do a ceremony, look to getting off the antidepressant safely with a practitioner so that you can engage in this type of ceremony, because it will take you so much further than any pharmaceutical medication can do.
Yeah. The rule of thumb I've heard is if you're off an antidepressant for 3 months, you're safe for ceremony.
Yeah. And I would say, always listen to your gut. When it's safe. And a lot of times people want to jump the gun. Some of these like Prozac can stay in the system 6 months to a year, affecting the brain health. But, weigh the pros and cons, weighs the risk benefits. We never do that. Everyone's so quick to taking these drugs. I want you now to go into the risks and the, the safety of doing an ayahuasca ceremony. People think it's dangerous. People think you can lose your mind. People think you can have heart attacks and all of those things. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Again, I'm not an expert on that subject, but having been in this world for a long time, there have been apparently a handful of people dying in ceremony just because they weren't supervised and they went, jumped off a second-story ledge or something, because they weren't properly monitored if they were having a difficult time. But I've never heard of anyone dying from ingesting the plant because of an internal thing, right? Usually it's an external event because they weren't kept safe. And I know the benefits are just like profound. I just have lost track of how many people who have reported just completely life-transforming positive experiences from doing the work. But again, you have to be willing. You have to say, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to heal the trauma, to face the darkness, knowing that and I just want to put a big exclamation mark on this point. Be sure you're in a safe container with a qualified facilitator. So important.
Yes.
There are shamans of light, there are shamans of darkness. There are dark shamans who will try to take advantage of you in various ways.
And there's also shamans that will, it's like they get this euphoric experience from this ceremony, and then they can call themselves a shaman. Anyone can call themselves a shaman.
Yeah,
so
there's no qualifying to it.
you have to use this level of discernment because to playing in this field, like you have opened yourself up. And maybe you can speak to a little bit of this. You've opened all your channels. I think there's dark entities that can attach to you if you're not. Yeah, exactly. If you're
I purged a massive one just last weekend. Yeah.
You have to know what you're doing. It's not like you just don't open up some portals and say, let's just go for it. This is all good. No, it's not.
Yeah. So, that could be a whole podcast unto itself, that topic.
Yes.
But what I'll say is, just to the best of your ability, vet the shaman. If you can talk with them first, talk to them, get their vibe, get reports from others who've worked with the shaman, do the best you can to make sure they've had appropriate training or experience where they are truly qualified to hold that ceremonial space. And critically, they are fundamentally a being of love and light. I'm not saying they're a perfected being. There are no such shamans that I'm aware of, but that they're really having only good and positive intention for the participants.
Yeah, only good and positive intentions. And then also they're not the expert. They're not the guru. They're not going to create this space. And I like that you're not doing that here, Benjamin. Like, you're so humble and in this state of gratitude. I really appreciate that. There are some people though that get into this space and they want to be seen. They have an egoic need to be seen or seen as the expert and I am the shaman. I have healed you. I want you to talk sort of, your process when you're working with people in ceremony more as a guide than I would be really leery of somebody that has the answers or is acting as an expert.
Well, I will qualify that. I actually want an expert to know, because that to me means they know what they're doing, not that they're up in their ego. So I actually, the shaman I work with, I consider he would never call himself an expert, but I would call him an expert.
That's a better differentiation though, because to come in and say, in ego, like I'm an expert, don't worry, I got this covered. That's what I mean, as opposed to you've seen what they have done. You've experienced their ceremony, or you've talked to people. Then you can say, wow, this guy really has a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge. He's an expert.
Yeah. And having worked with over a dozen plant spirit shamans in my time, what I'm looking for also is someone who's a well-developed human. Yes. Like, I'm obviously not going to name the shaman I work with, but he is like the most humble, unassuming, regular kind of guy if you met him on the street. And, I've never seen a shred of egotism in him anywhere. And I've interacted with him for years. But, he has the attitude of the eternal student. He knows how much more he has to learn about what he does. Yeah. It's like my favorite joke is, what's the biggest room in the world? Room for improvement.
That is so true, though. That is absolutely true.
He's always wondering how much more can he learn about the songs and holding space for the ceremony. And he keeps going and working with his teachers in Peru. And, he's always about expanding his own capability. Yeah. Just as my experience with Awakening, I can confidently say I'm awake enough to help people who are not at the level I'm at to get there. But I also know several people who are way more awake than I am, and I'm hanging around them trying to, get to where they're at, So it's like, I don't think it's a bad thing to acknowledge a level of competence or even a certain mastery level.
Maybe that's a better way to put it, a level of competence.
Yeah. But always with the student's perspective. Knowing that however much I know, it can only be a tiny fraction of all there is to learn about this. And if the universe is truly infinite, it's all journey and no destination, like we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. And also, it's easy to start comparing ourselves like, oh, Benjamin's more awake than I am. He's done this or less. It's always a hierarchy. There is no hierarchy to awakening. It's at where are you in your journey? Are you in your divine purpose? How are the people and plants doing around you? Are you happy? Are you lit up? That's what awakening is, in my humble opinion. It's not a computer game where you're at, level 700 pitfall or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's deeper and deeper levels of what lights you up. And it's not like there's this one tunnel for Benjamin's awakening. Then you get to that, magical place. It's like, choose your own adventure. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, and it's possible that they say each person lives in their own reality, and one person's experience of awakening might be a very different experience than another person's, and their experience and perception of it might be a radically different experience, and yet just as valid, right?
Just as valid, because it could be a religious awakening. It could be like, I want to suffer. I want to sell all my things and go into the woods and suffer. That might be your awakening. That's when I think when you get to a certain level, like you can then appreciate and love everyone's place in their journey, even the ones that want to combat and destroy the planet. Everyone has their place. There is no one-sided coin.
Yeah, I like the idea of Earth as a free will zone. We all get to do whatever we choose to do, but what I will say along that line is, what I have discovered is there's this beautiful principle of as within, so without. What I discovered is, if I can cultivate a peaceful, harmonious consciousness in myself, then my outward reality starts to reflect that more. I'm not saying I'll have no challenge, but I have seen a very persistent trend. The more I hold harmony, peace, and flow and joy within myself, then I have more experiences like that externally, and less of the difficult, more traumatic events I used to have when I was holding a less high vibration awareness. So, it's not, what is it they say? It's not, I'll believe it when I see it. It's like, I'll see it when I believe it, or maybe I'll experience it when I embody it. So I would just encourage people, if you'll do the inner healing work, then your external reality will shift automatically. Yes. And let me pick up one other point, because I'm on a roll here, which is, in my experience, again, having worked, as you said in the intro, with over 10,000 people, and I work with groups all the time in my Awakening Plus program, what I discover is, for most people, the fastest road to awakening is healing. It is, if you're willing to, what is this heavy stuff that's bothering me emotionally, physically, whatever, if you'll go face that stuff and find an effective route to heal it, whether it's plant medicine or the healing invocation I offer, whatever gets it healed, the moment you get that healed, you're going to have an automatic awakening. You can't not. I have this image called the Great Onion of Consciousness. And the idea is, you've got your higher self, this vastly more awakened consciousness than your human part, right? But it's got all these onion layers around it, old traumas and wounds from this and past lives that you haven't healed yet. And those layers dim the light from the higher self to the human part. So if you just heal one trauma, that's an onion layer peeled, the light's a little brighter, there's an uptick in consciousness. So what I say to people is, if you really want to wake up, put a lot of attention on your healing path, do the trauma healing, face the heavy stuff. And the bigger the challenge, the bigger the breakthrough.
Right.
It's really beautiful.
Well, and a lot of times, you can look at this, if we're going to use the onion analogy, which a lot of people do, and you've removed one of those layers, a lot of times it can peel off and a lot of other layers can just fall off naturally because you have created this momentum towards this goal of, okay, you're telling your spiritual self, I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to release these traumas. And that's why I said, look at your outer world to see how your inner world is doing. What are your plants looking like in your house? What do they look like outside? How are people doing around you? Are you bristly and are people running from you? Are you triggering people and, closing off that sacred bond that you could have with another person? That's your biofeedback to this medicine. Are you using it in alignment with your purpose, your divine purpose on this earth, on this plane that we're on, and getting into 5D? Yes, that is a wonderful metaphor that we can live in this higher states of consciousness, because the more of us that do, I think we inspire others around us. So I want to be respectful of your time. I want to get to the invocations. Do you have anything? Because I could talk to you about this probably for the next 12 hours, and we could probably
we can talk endlessly. There's so much good juice here.
Yeah. And that's why I get a high. I literally get a high when talking about these things, because it inspires more conversation and more ideas, and then it's all of a sudden something pops in that I have never thought of before, or a new idea. But so thank you for the high right now.
I'm glad it happened. I didn't intend it, but yay.
That's the best kind. Okay, so let's get into the invocation.
Right. So this process will take only 5 or 10 minutes. And if possible, if whoever's doing this can just give it their full attention, that would be awesome. So I'm now going to guide you into embodied awakening using my little invocation. And at the end, I'll say where they can find out more about this, but they can have the experience right now. So please close your eyes if you can, and just become aware of your physical body and how it feels. And if you have awareness of your energy body as well, the energy in and around you, if you can feel that, just notice it. You're just getting your baseline with what's already there. So now that you have a sense of where you're starting from, I've said some of this in the part up here, but I'll reiterate the important parts. We'll think of your body as a car. Your ego is going to move to the passenger seat so your higher self can drive. And if your ego doesn't like your higher self's driving at any instant, you can be right back behind the wheel. Your higher self will step out with no fuss. So it's safe, it's reversible, there's no danger or risk here. It's just we're trying it on for size. And if it's okay, I'll have you, Robin, kind of do this, and I'll ask you for feedback at the appropriate times. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So again, as I said earlier, the benefits of doing this, there's more harmony, flow, ease, and grace. Everything you're responsible for, you do more responsibly. Instead of having to figure things out so much, there's just more intuitive knowing, and there's this full body euphoria. So Robin, have you kind of got a vibe of your body and your energy body?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now we're just going to speak to the higher self, say 8 words to it, and then let it come in. So are you ready to give your higher self the 8 words, Robin?
I am.
So everyone should do this out loud if they can, but if you can only think it, that's fine too. So you ready?
Yes.
So repeat after me. Maximum embodied awakening.
Maximum embodied awakening.
That serves highest good, please.
That serves highest good, please.
Now relax and go completely passive. Ooh, you're getting there already, aren't you? Yeah, I can feel it. So you're a sponge, it's water, just let it soak in. I mean, when I say passive, I really mean passive. So to be particular, you'll get the best outcome if you do not do any of the following: no effort, no willpower, no trying to make anything happen, no stopping anything from happening, no deliberate visualizing or imagining. You're just passive, you're just letting it come to you. And if you feel energy coming in, just feel it. And if you can't, then just feel your breath come and go on its own. Either way, you're completely passive and just feeling energy, or if you can't do that, then just feel breath. So as this comes in, at some point you might get distracted during the process, which is okay. As soon as you notice that's happened, You simply return attention to feeling energy or breath. If the distraction persists, just that's fine. Let it move, keep it going in the background, no problem. Don't fight it or try to change it because that'll only make it stronger. So if a distraction is there, just let it be in the background, but return your attention to feeling energy or breath. And if there's any attention left over, if you want to take it to the final nuance, you can discover how little effort's needed even to feel what you're feeling. So for a moment, let's drop to actually zero effort, no effort at all, and just be for a moment. Just literally zero. Just everything, anything that happens is fine. Just go to zero right now and see what happens. And Robin, I think you just dropped in to the state, if I'm feeling correctly. Yep. So let's do here's the check-in question to see if you're actually in embodied awakening. So Robin, is all the following true right now? No mental chatter, no challenging emotion, peaceful and effortless.
Correct.
Right. So that's embodied awakening. So just hang out there. So whoever is listening, if you're already there, great, you made it. If not, we'll leave just a moment longer for anyone else to get a chance to get there. And again, remember, zero effort. You've asked your higher self to do it for you. It's coming to you. Just passively let it soak in. We'll leave just a moment longer. Okay, my allergist is saying that's long enough. And of course, anyone can come back to this point and repeat the process if they want to. Okay. So Robin, now whoever is doing this now, the next stage, if you want to open your eyes and look around, we're still in the process, but now it's an eyes open process. Look around a little bit. So the question is, with your eyes open, is all the following still true? No mental chatter, no challenging emotion, peaceful, effortless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how, so here's the cool thing about this, as I lay out in my book and the little course I'll mention here in a minute. If you start your day with that invocation, maximum embodied awakening that serves highest good, please, and just relax and let it come. People, I have some people who've done this now for over 10 years. And they say, most people say it takes 5 or 10 seconds, done. Some people say the state comes before I can even get the words out. So once you're there, you're done. Go about your business, and all you have to do after that is if you notice it slipped, there's some mental challenge again, there's some challenging emotions, whatever, just repeat the 8 words or even just think them. Leave a moment of passivity for the higher self to lock back in. And as soon as it's there, you're done.
Yeah.
And people who do this regularly say, I spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes a day refreshing. And that's all I have to do to actually walk around all day in embodied awakening.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what ayahuasca gave me during that ceremony at the start. Yeah.
This is the benefit of doing, because this is your brand of brilliance. This is your gift coming through. The medicine is using you as a conduit.
Yeah, that's all I can claim to be as a
all
conduit.
of us. That's beautiful. And what I love about this state is I hike every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Northern California, and the experience I have on just a simple hike that I do every day it's beyond blissful.
Mm.
It's what people, when they have described being in heaven, it's like the blades of grass create this sound. I see all of that here. I'm experiencing heaven on earth.
Nice.
Not that I don't have problems, not that, I've got a 16 herd of boys in the other room, but I love that. Even when he irritates me and annoys me and talks back to me, I love it. I can't explain how that feeling though, because someday I'm going to be 90 but I'm 90 right now experiencing this moment with my son. It's an incredible space to be in. And this is why we do this. That's another, coming full circle as to why do I do these ceremonies? That's why. I can engage better with my son. I can connect with him. I can connect with his friends on a very deep level. We have deep conversations. Nice. That they can then start awakening to their truth, their power, their brilliance, their wisdom, not here's my, weird friend's mom. As they get to see themselves. So anyone that wants more of these invocations, where can they, because I'm going to listen to this podcast again too, but where can we get these recordings? Okay.
So if they want a free introduction, if they'll just go to you might put links in your show notes.
Yeah, all the links will be in the show notes.
But if they go to my main site, astroshaman.com, And if they're like on a computer or, at the top, there's a menu bar, and the last thing on the menu bar says instant divine assistance. And if they click that, it will take them to where they can sign up for a free little 6-part course that will give them the how to and guide them through the embodied awakening invocation. Will also explain and guide them through the healing invocation. And it will also give them a simple daily, I gave you part of the daily practice, but not all of it. And a simple daily practice that takes almost no time or effort, where they can keep the awakening deepening, where they can keep healing whatever's coming up in the next layer. And it couldn't be simpler or easier. It's like I keep saying for years, I've said, this is the simplest, easiest method I know for self-healing and self-awakening. If someone knows a better one, please let me know. All these years, no one's ever given me something that works better and easier. I'd love to know if there is.
Yeah.
But so that's one way. Another way, they can get my book.
Good.
Which right now, as we record this in late April of 2023, the ebook is like $3.99 on Amazon. The paperback's $12.99. And it's hit #1 in a bunch of categories. But basically, this book, A to Z, everything I know about the invocations, and it goes beyond that little course, because it also gives invocations for where you can be a conduit of highest good energy for other people, where you can literally call in any energy you want. It's all on tap up there. You can just call it in with a simple few words, any flavor at all, and it's all come on demand. And these invocations are really powerful for all that kind of stuff. So they're endlessly versatile too. So the book goes A to Z on all that, and it's super not expensive at all. It's a good resource. And of course, if people want to go even deeper and go into a community thing, then my membership, Awakening Plus, they can go to awakeningplus.com and learn about that. Right now, they can try it for a month for $1, full membership, if they like it. It's really not very expensive after that at all. After that, I've got, scholarship rates if money is tight or whatever. So, what I'm trying to do, there's things you can do in a group container you can't do solo.
Yes.
And the Awakening Plus container is there to help people accelerate their work. And we've got now several hundred members, and there's these core people who keep showing up, who hold this amazing space with me, and our collective energy is really holding an amazing container. It's we're getting as close to ayahuasca as we can while on Zoom without actually drinking anything,
Yeah.
So
I feel like I'm there right now.
So anyhow, I'm really trying to help as many people as I can, whether it's through the little free course or the book or the membership, whatever if people are vibing with me, they can dip their toe in the water on any of that stuff and see what they think. Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I want to say, just heart to heart right now, you have talent, you have a lot of wisdom, you could charge a lot more. And I appreciate when people charge introductory, like let us all have that opportunity to read your books, to experience these invocations that actually work. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate that. I'm going to have all the links in here for you. I would love to do a part 2 of this podcast with you sometime. And
I'd be honored. Just anytime.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you for lighting up this hour. Thank you for being the person that you are and bringing this wonderful plant to life and connecting to the, that level. That's a beautiful interaction that we get to have.
And thank you, Robin. You're obviously a light spreader yourself. And I want to thank you for inviting me onto your show. Thank you for doing this podcast and spreading this wonderful energy out to so many people. So thanks for you doing your part on the Lightworker team as well.
I appreciate that. I will take that in. And you are definitely a brother from another mother. So let's connect.
Thank you.
Take care.